Hey, what's up YouTube? We're going to be starting with something I actually recorded quite recently. These first two clips are pretty recent. Everything after that is going to be stuff that was recorded close to a month ago, maybe a little bit further than that. Because I've had this build for a little bit. So I invaded this fight club is what it looked like. I thought it was just an invasion, but soon enough you will find out that it looks like it might have been a fight club, or at least the invader came in and the host decided to let them 1v1 the summon in the red. So after that, because you can see at the beginning of the video the host is sitting down, not fighting, and then he runs in to aid the yellow. Right here, this red decides, you know what, I'm gonna help them kill this guy, I guess, so we can go back to our 1v. Maybe this red thought that he was going to kill the yellow. He thought he was the main character. You know, maybe he's got main character syndrome, but it's okay because now I have to show him who the main character actually is. So I'm pretty annoyed at this point, right? Because nothing makes me angrier than a traitor red. I haven't seen too many of them in Elden Ring. It's harder to even get another red to help you invade in Elden Ring. It's not like Dark Souls 3 where, you know, it can be 3v3 or 2v4, and you know, there's no like hub for PvP like Pontiff Sullivan's area in Dark Souls 3. So you run into a lot less traitor reds, but it's okay because friendly fire exists if you're a red helping out the host. And he was taken out pretty easily right there by the host's weapon art. And then I took out the yellow with my trusty spark aromatic. And now it's just a 1v1. This was definitely the clip I had to start this off with, because honestly it shows off everything for the build pretty well. I didn't incorporate the lightning grease into the build for a while, because a lot of the times I don't even complete builds for a long time. I'll get them pretty close to where they need to be. Technically this build isn't even finished. It was inspired by a YouTuber, I cannot remember his name right now. He's quite popular though, so it won't really matter that I'm not giving him credit here. But he had a build where he was using sleep arrows and unsheath, and he would basically let people chase him, make them fall asleep with sleep arrows, and then unsheath them with you know, probably a min-maxed unsheath weapon art, you know, doing as much damage as he possibly could. Before I saw that video, I had been struggling because I have a build in Dark Souls 1 that I really loved. I called it the Huntsman, and it had just a regular hand axe on it, just a regular knife for parrying. I did incorporate the dark silver tracer for good riposts, because I needed the crit damage to finish people off because the rest of the build was so not viable. But Dark Souls 1 was, you know, at a point where it didn't have all these explosive weapon arts and stuff, so you could get by with using basic weapons like a hand axe or like a, you know, a long sword or something, and it wouldn't matter. And I had been trying to get something like that in this game. I wanted something kind of simplistic but still like a little viable. And right here, to get off topic for a bit, I accidentally bloody finger. This is sped up footage, so it's going to load quite quickly, and I'll run back into the action here. But I thought I had my flask. I had so many things on my belt in this build that I thought I had my flask, but it was a bloody finger, and that was too bad. It was unfortunate. But anyway, back to what I was saying. While I prioritize poison over healing and almost die here, I really wanted a simplistic build to mirror my Huntsman build, and I had been trying to get that with my Druid, my Mad Druid. Originally, I had the Stormhawk axes to, replace the regular hand axe, because I knew the regular hand axe wasn't going to be good enough in this game. And the Stormhawk axes were cool for a bit. I didn't mean to do this right here when I fall. That I meant to just throw. I didn't know there was an opening in the wall, but it ended up working out to give me space. I knew the hand axe wasn't going to work because this game is too explosive, so I settled for the Stormhawk axes. And the weapon art was pretty good, but not good enough to where I felt like I was overpowered or relying on it too much at first. But then, Rivers of Blood got really strong, and some other things got figured out about stuff that was better. And I realized that Stormhawk axes weren't going to cut it. And now my Mad Druid build is just not very viable. It's in a weird spot where it's either too good or not good enough, and I don't want to. I want to be in a middle ground where I'm good enough. Don't know how I survived right there with like literally 1 HP. So this build, after seeing the guy with Unsheath and Sleep Arrows, I was like, all right, you know what? I could do something like that. I could do Sword Dance instead of Unsheath, because I don't want to use a katana, because this is going to be like a ranger huntsman character, not a samurai or something. It's going to be more of a Western, not an Eastern build, inspired by Western culture, not Eastern culture. So, because I already have 2 samurai characters. Yeah, and then something like, I forget exactly what came over me, but I decided I wanted to try the aromatics. So I got a buddy of mine to help me dupe all the ingredients for aromatics, and I found 10 of the aromatic jar things or whatever, because perfume bottles, because the last few are in places that are just really annoying to go to, and I didn't feel like getting them all. A few of my builds have like not enough seeds or not enough chalices for the flasks. Reaction parry or something like that, where they're missing a little bit of the final ingredients for stuff, because I just don't want to go to the end game. But yeah, so I started using the aromatics, and the Spark Aromatic, I've heard in the past that it's good, but man, it is pretty damn good, especially to control space. Controlling space with the aromatics, the Spark Aromatic specifically, is so good. And a lot of the times I don't even need to really do all that much to finish off phantoms or hosts or whatever, because the aromatic can sometimes one-shot people who haven't maxed vigor or leveled vigor very high. Right here I speed up because there's just a lot of back and forth and not really anything actually happening until right about now, where I finally get a really good sword dance on the blue. So the funny thing, like I said, sometimes I don't even finish builds for a really long time. This build, I meant to get St. Trina's sleep arrows on it. I still have not done that. As you can see through this video, every time I shoot an arrow, it's probably a poison arrow, because I like this build right now where it's at. And yeah, I don't think adding the St. Trina arrows would do anything to be negative for the build. I think it would only bring positives to the build. But getting someone to drop me max St. Trina arrows is pretty tough right now, because the person that I was duping with didn't continue their PSN subscription, and they're in a place right now where they really don't want to, because they would only be using it for duping stuff with me. They don't really have any games they want to play right now, and I don't feel like, I feel kind of guilty getting someone off Patches Emporium on Reddit to drop me arrows 3 or 4 times in order to reach the max, because I'm pretty sure you can't drop 600 in one go. You have to, drop 99 a bunch of times in a row. And I think that obviously that would have to be like 6 different times, maybe 7 different times to reach max 600 arrows. And I don't want to put someone through that. I originally had the duping guy drop me 99, but that disappeared very quickly. barrage goes through arrows way faster than you'd probably expect. Anyway, it's funny how I've been talking about this build for 10 minutes and I'm still not done. Well, I basically am done now. I was just going to say that this character's named the Mistwood Ranger. The lore behind him, you know, he's just a ranger from the Mistwood. It's quite easy. Lore, it's nothing special. He's got spark aromatics because he learned how to make aromatics, you know, at one point, and the ingredients is all nature-based stuff. So he doesn't have a hard time finding it, even if he needs you know, he's met Blide maybe, and he knows how to get the husk, the crystal tier husks or whatever they're called from you know, the underground. He knows about the well, the Siofra well, because he met Blide, and Blide's been obsessing about Nokron. Anyway, nerdy lore bullshit. But yeah, it's kind of funny to me because my Huntsman build in Dark Souls 1 was kind of a mix between my new Ranger build, my Mistwood Ranger, and my Mad Druid. It's kind of a mix because the original one had Black Flame. And since Black Flame doesn't exist in this game, and Catch Flame and O Flame are like good, but just not exactly the same thing, Spark Aromatics really fit that space very well. Maybe better than Black Flame was. They're very good. And I get 9 chances to use those, and then I use my 10th one for a Shield Aromatic. I forget what it's called right now. Yeah, that guy jumped off the cliff in this last clip that just ended. I guess I just made him give up, or he didn't know where he was on the map and he just kind of took a leap of faith. Pretty wild. This last invasion here, it's not the most spectacular thing ever. It starts out as a 2v2. Pretty soon here, I'm going to do right now, I'm going to parry his sword and the spell, I think, at the same time. The only reason I didn't riposte him is because I was actually looking to parry the spell and not him. He just lined up perfectly with the spell and got parried. So it looks really cool that I parry both him and the spell at the same time, but I didn't intend for that. So that was, you know, I put that in the montage, the Let There Be Light montage that I made, because it looks cool. And, you know, when people are watching montages, they don't always care very much about the end result as long as you put some cool looking shit in there. I do that all the time where I put cool clips in that don't actually finish. There's no end to them because it's just that one cool moment or 2 cool moments from that invasion, but I ended up losing, you know what I mean? This invasion's about to get kind of funny, right? Kind of interesting. Because right there, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the other red invades. And as soon as this guy realizes he's not going to be 2v1 anymore, he's going to be 1v1, he brings out dual spears. He goes from, you know, Moonveil Katana, honest build, you know, a little OP, but not really, to dual spears because he clearly, I'm thinking he just either knows he can't 1v1 me, or he wants so badly not to lose that he's like, you know what, I'm gonna bring out the microwave go burr head empty no thoughts build and use dual spears where, you know, I run forward and hit L1 or jump forward and hit L1. But it's okay, even while I'm poisoned and using just a broadsword, and like I have a few aromatics left maybe. This guy is going to, you know, get shown that just because you have some head empty build doesn't mean you're gonna win. And that's actually the end of the video. So thanks for listening to me talk about my character forever.